This is a quick video. I was looking at some video game news today, and I just want to share this guys with you guys. So the a lot of people sit back and they say they want a Killzone remastered and a Killzone 1 and 2 and 3. I seen a comment about that. I just wanted to share some fact. Uh, I'm looking at it as a business kind of thing. So Guerrilla Game, who made Horizon Zero Dawn, they're the ones that made Killzone. So I checked. Killzone 1 only sold 2 million copies. And then Killzone 2 only sold 1 million copies. And then Killzone 3 sold 2.1 million copies. Now, if you're looking at the business part of it, Guerrilla Games, there is no way Guerrilla Games is going to take a chance and just take a chance on even remastering them. They would probably be like, why would we remaster all those games? Because they would have to have a selling point. And what I mean by that is like they would have to have a target of how many copies they want to sell. So you know how I always say I want a new Resistance game, and if I go and get a new Resistance game and they give us one, what if all the people that says they want a new Resistance game or whatever, right? Whatever game you want, what if those people are small? What if there's only like 2 million of us that want that game? That's not going to justify the price point of, they have to have you know what I mean? It's like they want to sell a lot of copies and they're in it to make some money. But I was looking at this today. I looked these numbers up, man. Killzone only sold 2 million copies, the first Killzone. The second Killzone sold 1 million copies. The third Killzone sold 2.1 million copies. All right. So if you factor all that in, as a company, if I was a company and I hear all these people like, oh, they need to bring back this, they need to bring back that, and they need to make a new game like this. Well, they're probably looking at the sales and they're probably looking at what's going on now, and they're probably sitting there going, I don't know if we want to invest that much money in that game, because if they do, then there might not be that many of us that'll buy it. It might sound like online many of us would buy it, but it's the fact that they don't want to take a chance to sink all that money in. Even if you take all 3 Killzone games and you just decide to remaster them, I'm just wondering if there's a market out there for it. I hear online, you hear me constantly say, "Oh, I wish they do a new Resistance. Oh, I wish they remaster Resistance Fall of Man." I don't think they are. They're constantly remastering all these other games that came out like 8, 9 years ago. But they ain't doing these old games for some strange reason. So the only reason why I'm sharing this is because I'm only looking at it as the fact that Killzone only sold 2 million copies. 1. Killzone 2 only sold 1 million copies. Killzone 3 only sold 2.1 million copies. Guess how many copies Horizon Zero Dawn sold? 24.3 million as of current compared to that. Now things are a little different than they were back then. And I don't think Killzone was sitting around those $70 to buy. You know what I mean? So the PlayStation 3 games probably didn't cost $70, right? Horizon Forbidden West, it sold $8.4 million. 8.4 million copies. So you factor all that in, I'm thinking that they have a specific target, which most companies do, because that's all they want to do is they want to make money. But I was thinking about how I'm constantly whining about, oh, I like to see Resistance Fall of Man get a ground up, rebuilt from the ground up. I would love to see them rebuild that game from the ground up and just make it look. Oh, I could imagine what Resistance Fall of Man would look like if they built it back from the ground floor. I'm just talking about from the ground up, like they did some games. But they probably can't justify the fact is there's probably some of us out there that is maybe let's just say, for 8.4 million or 8.4 million people. What if there's only like 1.4 million people that buy Resistance, right? Or 1.5 million people only buy the Killzone series, even if they remaster it. Now, we sit there online and we say things that we wish they could bring these games back. Now, I fall in the category of Resistance. A lot of people, I read comments of other YouTubers and people bring up Killzone. God of War Ragnarok. God of War sold 25 million copies. Now, that's at, I think $70 a piece. That's a lot of cheese. God of War Ragnarok sold 15 million copies. Now, the difference between Resistance, and I wrote all this down, Resistance Fall of Man, it was the first 1 million copies sold for a launch title. So that is a success, right? So it is a success because of the fact that it sold 1 million copies as a launch title. It was the first one to do it. It's not the first game that sold 1 million copies. It's the first launch title that sold 1 million copies. So it's sitting in the success area. But where it's not sitting at is somebody like me who constantly say, I like to see Resistance Fall of Man be built from the ground up, like that company called Blue Point or something like that. Build it from the ground. I mean, make the characters, facial expressions, the buildings, the tanks, all the stuff that went on in that game. Some of you all out there played that game. I would like for them to do that, but they probably say we can't justify sinking that much money into that due to the fact that we don't think that's going to be that many. Okay, let me give you a point. This is why, and I found this out. I bought that Alan Wake first game, and it's for the PS5, right? Alan Wake, yeah, it's for the PS4. They remastered that game from the PS3, I think. Alan Wake, y'all know who Alan Wake is. So when Alan Wake 2 came out, the company said, we're not going to make no physical copy of that game. Why do you think they didn't make a physical copy of that game? You know why they didn't make a physical copy of that game? It's because the Alan Wake remastered game, which I heard looks good, I still got it in its cellophane. I ain't even opened it up yet because I got a lot of games I ain't even played yet. It's on the list. Didn't sell as many copies as they was wanting. So apparently I'm thinking that they have a target, like most companies, right? So that is the reason why you're not going to get an Alan Wake 2 as far as physical, because they're not going to go through printing the disc. They're not going to go through the artwork on the box and all that kind of stuff. They're not going to do that. That's why it's only digital only. Because the company looked and says, oh, okay, y'all wanted us to make this game, Alan Wake, because it was such a game that y'all love so much. I've never played it yet. I heard nothing but good about it, so that's why I bought it. I went by what people said, But the company that made Alan Wake 2, they said, we are not going to make a physical copy. We are not going to print anything as the sleeves and all that kind of stuff. Digital only. So the sum this up, because I'm going on almost 10 minutes, is I'm just giving y'all this information because I'm just letting y'all know. I'm just thinking that they're looking at these numbers and there's like, I hear you guys saying all this stuff. I think they got to know we're wanting all these games to come back. But now I'm starting to wonder. But then you can say something like, well, yeah, but, Killzone only sold 2 million copies, the first one. But then Killzone 2 only sold, Killzone 1, somebody can actually say this. Well, you got to understand, Killzone 1 sold 2 million copies. Killzone 2 sold 1 million copies. Killzone 3 sold 2.1 million copies. But a lot of people has played the game since that game came out. So how do you sit there and say that it might not fit? It have failed. because it could not fail. Because from the time the PS3 and clearing up to the PS5, a lot of people have played a lot of these older games, so it might have more of a following per se. So that's what I'm looking at. So you can say that too. So you can say, well, now you gotta understand now, a lot of people's played Killzone since it came out. That game's pretty old. And now a lot of people likes that game. So you can't really say that game might fail if they remaster it or give us a new one. Which is a pretty good argument. But I don't know, man, that company, man. But these companies, man, these video game companies, man, they I don't know what to think about them anymore. I don't know what to think about them. But here's the thing. Guerrilla Games made Killzone, and they wanted to do something different, so they came up with Horizon Zero Dawn. And that's a phenomenal game. I enjoyed that game so much that it took 2 years for me to beat that game. And then when I got Forbidden West, it only took me about 2 weeks to beat that game. Job and all. You know what a job and all? Life, working out, riding my bike, you name it, etc., etc. Took 2 weeks to beat that game. I didn't play the DLC that came out. I just didn't play it, so I'm not going to touch that. But I'm not even going to talk about that because there's no need to. But the thing is, Horizon Dawn Forbidden West, I blew through that game because I was so excited because I love Horizon Zero Dawn. So I just thought I'd throw that out there to you guys out there. I'm just asking you, what do you think about this whole thing? Sometimes you guys do comment, but I just thought about this today, and I was just, I'm in my break room and I'm on break, and I don't even look at my phone like some people. Some people are like walking zombies with their phone, but I sat down in the break room, man, and I was like, And I came across a couple of articles, and then I got on YouTube and seen some people talk about stuff, and then I always read the comments, and sometimes I pull a subject to load up on my YouTube video if somebody can just make the slightest comment. And they was like, yeah, well, they should remaster Killzone 1, 2, and 3. I was like, that is a good idea. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see how much they sell. So you got 2, 3, 4. You almost got 5 million copies of Killzone. All of them. All three movies. All 3 video games. 1, 2, and 3. Now there was some spin-offs, but I ain't talking about the spin-offs. And you think about that. All 3 Killzone games is a little over 5 million copies. Horizon Zero Dawn sold 24.3 million copies compared to their first, 3 games. I don't know how many games Guerrilla's game made, but that Killzone was their jewel until they came up with Horizon Zero. When they said they wanted to do something different, they rolled some dice on this one. So I remember looking at Horizon Zero Dawn, and before it was even close to being done, you'd see little things and you see them tall necks, and I remember saying, what kind of game is this going to be? And then when it came out, man, it kicked some butt. So here's another one. Horizon Zero Dawn was $24.3 million compared to Killzone. All 3 games only sold a little over 5 million copies compared to Horizon Zero Dawn, 24.3. But you want to know something else? Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West sold 8.4 million. And I looked and read the article, and they said that was successful. So I don't know what target they're sitting at. Now, you might sit there and go, yeah, well, you got to understand, games don't cost that much like they do now. Yeah, I get that. I had 3 little boys. I know what video game prices were. But I don't know, you guys. I'm just asking y'all, man, since I give you these numbers, you think I have a point about what I'm saying? I don't need to reread it anymore, but it just jumped out at me. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna throw up a video about it, because I'm like, that's a valid point, because if you're looking at it as a company standard, and you're sitting in a room and you're the one, you got people that you have to pay to do all this work. You say, do you think in a room at Guerrilla Games, and you say, do you think we ought to remaster Killzone 1, 2, and 3? They pretty like, man, we don't even want to mess with that game no more. We don't want to mess with that game no more. We've been there, we've done that. No, I don't even want to remaster it. They probably still want to mess with it. They just probably don't want to mess with it. I probably sit there and go, man, no, their heart and soul is in this Forbidden One. It is in, right now their money is in Horizon. They could really do a lot with Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm not gonna get into anything. I just hope they just don't do too any. Just anyway, I'm interested in seeing what Horizon Zero Dawn 3 would be, but we're not gonna get that game till 2028. And if I was Guerrilla Game, I'd be like, y'all ain't getting that game till 2028. And we ain't gonna rush that game out, and y'all can play your backlog of games. Because what kills me about people always talking about they don't have nothing to play, you do have something to play. You have a lot of stuff to play. There ain't no way that I look in all people's backlog and I see YouTube videos, I see all the video games in the back, and even some of them will say that they ain't even completed games. So you got games that you can complete. But if I was Guerrilla Games, I would not bring Horizon Zero Dawn 3 out until, 2028. Now, what is this, 2024? That's 4 years from now. Games are expensive to make, and they take so long to make. If you're into that type of game, So anyway, you guys, I thought I'd drop that. I thought I'd drop that and just give you guys these numbers. I just want your opinion, what you think. I thought it was a pretty interesting topic, and I thought I'd give you these numbers. And like I said, Resistance was a PS3 launch title, and it was the first game as a launch title to sell 1 million copies. It is not the first game ever sold 1 million copies. Resistance is the first game that sold 1 million copies as a launch title, which the PS3, for back then, that is a success. You understand what I'm saying? So, all right, we'll catch you later. Thanks for watching. Be blessed.